This poem shall speak of the wretched scene that watched him to the issue. Mothers crying for their young, swallowed up by the sea. This poem shall say nothing new. This poem shall speak of time, time unlimited, time undefined. This poem shall call names, names like Lumumba, Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Hannibal, Appleton, Malcolm, Garvey, Haile Selassie. This poem is vexed about apartheid, racism, fascism, the Ku Klux Klan, riots in Brixton, Atlanta, Jim Jones. This poem is revolting against first world, second world, third world, division, man-made decision. This poem is like all the rest. This poem will not be amongst great literary works, will not be recited by poetry enthusiasts. It will not be quoted by politicians or men of religion. This poem is knives, bombs, guns, blood, fire, blazing for freedom. Yes, this poem is a drum. Ashanti, Ma, Igbo, Yoruba, Nyabin warriors, Yohuro, Namibia, Yohuro Sweater, Yohuro Africa. This poem will not change things. This poem needs to be changed. This poem is a rebirth of a people, a rising, awakening, understanding. This poem speaks, is speaking, I've spoken. This poem shall continue even when poets have stopped writing. This poem shall survive you, me. It shall linger in history, in your mind, in time, forever. This poem is time, only time will tell. This poem is still not written. This poem has no point. This poem is just a part of the story. His story, her story, our story. The story is still unfolding. This poem is now ringing, talking, irritating, making you want to stop it. But this poem will not stop. This poem is long, cannot be short. This poem cannot be tamed, cannot be blamed. The story is still not told about this poem. This poem is old, new. This poem was copied from the Bible, your prayer book, Playboy magazines, New York Times, Reader's Digest, the CIA files, the KGB files. This poem is no secret. This poem shall be called boring, stupid, senseless. This poem is watching you trying to make sense from this poem. This poem is messing up your brains, making you want to stop listening to this poem. But you shall not stop listening to this poem. You need to know what will be said next in this poem. This poem shall disappoint you because this poem is to be continued in your mind. Give your arms to throw. Report, Ashe. Report to the creative spirit, the great Ashe, out of which we all emerge, Ashe. We pour to that creative spirit by whatever name we know it, whatever name you hold in your heart, in your mind, whatever name your ancestors gave, whatever name you learned as a child, whatever name you believe it to be, whatever name you believe it to be in spirit or in science, Ashe. We pour to the first human beings who came into existence on this planet, the first human beings who raised the first structures, who cooked the first meals, who taught the first children, who had the first children, the first Africans, the first people who stood upright, who walked, who figured out how to stay on this planet, who figured out how to pass that knowledge on to their children and their children's children, the mothers and fathers of civilization, Ashe. We pour the next libation to their grandchildren, their children's children, those who raised the great early civilizations of Kemet and Kush and Monomotapa, the great medieval civilizations of Ghana and Mali and Songhai and Kanem-Bornu. We pour to those who great the great civilizations of the Igbo people and the Hausa people and the Kikongo people and the Mabara people, the great Mande civilizations, the great Kikongo, the great civilizations of Southern Africa, the Bantu people, the great civilizations of Southeast Africa, the Dinka, the Shilla, the Noor. We pour to those millions who raised the foundation from which the world would learn what it meant to be human in the world, Ashe. We pour to their children who were upon the arrival on the shores of people they had never seen before, found themselves captured and marched overland, found themselves perishing by the millions before they were held on the holding cells and the open air pens on the coast of West, Central, Southern, and East Africa. We pour to the ancestors who did not know as they were stripped of all clothing and sent denuded into boats, packed like animals, and strewn their bones across the floor of the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. We pour to them who in the last moment on Africa grabbed the sand and grabbed the dirt and put it in their mouths and understood that the only thing they might have to preserve their place in that continent was their memory of that place and their ability to pass it on to their children. We pour to them, Ashe. We pour to those Africans and their children who finding themselves cast adrift in Santiago, Cuba, who found themselves cast adrift in Porto, Spain, Trinidad, and Port-au-Prince, Haiti, who found themselves cast adrift in New Orleans and Charleston and Mobile, who found themselves cast adrift in Salvador, Bahia, who found themselves cast adrift in Barbados and the archipelago that formed the Wayward and the Windward Coast. We found them in these places learning Portuguese and Spanish and French, whose often first words was, "Oh my God, oh my de Dios," who found themselves praying to survive and pass on to their children the memories. We pour to those ancestors who are represented in the thousands buried in all the square miles of where we stand, and who sit here buried before us in 400 caskets forged of wood from West Africa with Adinkra symbols. Each one of them, each woman, man, and child, symbolic of millions. The children of those who cannot be killed, we pour, Ashe. We pour to their children who somehow survived the hells of enslavement and fought for emancipation in the Caribbean, the French, British, Dutch Caribbean, who fought for emancipation in South America, who fought for emancipation in Central America, who fought the struggles we refer to as the Civil War in the United States, who came out of that, marched out of enslavement through Reconstruction, and found themselves making great migrations, eventually ending up in places like New York. Their children's children, who making a way for themselves, became our great-great-grandparents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents, those University in 2004 and followed these caskets all the way back to New York. The ones whose names we know and the ones whose names we don't. And at this moment, as we pour this libation, I would ask anyone who feels comfortable to say the name of someone in your bloodline who's no longer physically here, but who you know made it possible for you to be here. Go ahead, let's hear the names. Haywood Carr, Porter Griffin. We pour today, we hold collective. Dr. Zumba in Brazil. Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Henri Christophe in Haiti. We pour to the great Avengers, Nanny of the Maroons of Jamaica. We pour to the great ancestors, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass. Say the names that you stay. Pour the names of the ancestors that you have come to hold in your heart and your mind, and you hope that you can do what they did for us, for your children and children's children. Let's say some of those famous names. Malcolm X, John Henry Clark, John Jackson, Jacob Carruthers. And finally, two final libations. We pour to those who make it possible for us to do what we do. We pour to these rangers who stand guardian over this sacred space. We pour to these Africans and these folks who have come from Howard University, the staff, the faculty, the administrators who brought us here today to bear witness. This is not a libation, but an affirmation, because their hearts still beat, their tongues still speak, their minds still think, and their minds still wish the best for us. We pour for all of those people who surrounded us on this journey today and made it possible for us to be here. We pour this affirmation of thanks, Ashe. And finally, we pour to your children, children who will one day stand on this space and speak your name. Coming on, coming on. The prophet rides again. The prophet rides again. Oh yeah. The prophet rides again. Oh yeah. Yes, so it's Thursday afternoon, you know. You tune into the Ancestral Rock on your station for progressive information and happy quality music. We're feeling special in the neighborhood, and we pray you're doing the same. Especially blessed, especially gifted with the gift of life, you know, the breath of life, with the opportunity to share some rubber dub with you and some of our story. When the children were beaten and we raised, then you taught us to fight all our enemies. Took us through life's tribulation, bro. You know, there's an old proverb that says, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go long, go together. Harlem Fuller Dennis Emmanuel Brown, whose birthday we just celebrated, by the way. You know, last week we were so clearly and reasonably focused on the time with our guest who's with us again for part 2 of that sweetness, that we didn't acknowledge Dennis Brown and Bunny Ruggs. You know, how could we do a thing like that? So we got to give respect due where respect is due, you know. But we're not going alone today, you know. I got 2 of my brothers with me. And I'm really, really looking forward to us sitting with our elder, Baba Ernest Dunkley. Those of y'all joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and everything, you see our brother Oloye for sure loud, doing that day.
And in the studio with us, we got our brother Stan Zeff. Oh yes, it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Let me make sure my brother Mike is good.
I'm here.
Yes, so Stan Zeff.
Thank you for the invitation, brother.
Baba Shola.
So honored.
Yeah. Peace and blessings. Eka song. Good afternoon, everyone.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear him, but we're gonna make sure we got him straight. We getting ready to take a journey, and we're just inviting you all. And I don't want to sound crass, I would say you should be very happy we invited you to be on this journey with us, guys.
For sure.
We don't get to do this every day,
For sure.
and we just bringing y'all along with us. So we're really looking forward to this next hour and a half. Stay tuned to your stuff on your station for progressive information. Let me do something technical to make sure we got everybody straight and their mic is good. In the meantime, in between time, Dennis Brown say,
and that much emotion of one man do. We try to save all the He taught us a bit of wisdom and of joy, and made us the world to it. Yeah, I know he cries again, but yeah, Lord, the prophet tried to get. Oh yeah, the prophet tries again.
Dennis Brown, if you want to sing. Dennis Brown is the kind of person who, before all the negative self-talk of society and everything in your life,
Brings the vibes.
Make you feel like you're a superstar. You can sing anything just the same way.
Brings the strength.
Serious thing. Baba Shola, can you hear us?
Yes.
So he hearing us, but we're not hearing him. Let me see.
You're not hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, man. So you're live in the place with the people. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Can you hear
I think
me?
there's a little glitch coming through, so make sure you got that stable place there. All right, we got our brother Stan Zeff with us. I don't know if y'all can see each other.
I'm here. What's up? My brother.
Baba.
Yes. It's so good to see you.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
My favorite DJ in the world.
He talk about you all the time,
Like right, yes.
It's a beautiful thing when you hear brothers giving so much praise behind each other's back, And this is my test. This is my life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to get us to link up, we got an elder man with us that has such a remarkable story. I thought of the two of you. Stan Zeff reached out to me, as thank you for always tuning in, a loyal listener. Last week when Baba Ernest was with us, and I was like, man, we should do this together as the maestro. So between the two of y'all, not only do y'all have the capability, you have the track record of keeping the beat going, that heartbeat going, being the drummers in one aspect or another, from the ancient drum, where's the bata drummer, the djembe and all that, to the electronic, the modern drum.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so important. We don't need no special, first of all, we don't need no special occasion to get together and celebrate life and celebrate our reality, celebrate our culture. This is it. We have life. That's a special occasion, so we don't need to wait for no holiday and none of them kind of thing. But Baba Shola, belated happy birthday. I saw you yesterday, but
it's his birthday?
Yeah, man. For the rest.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah. February 12th.
Happy birthday, brother. Happy Earth Day, I
Thank you, my brother.
You landed on this earth, right?
True.
We're still here.
Yeah, man, we're here doing it.
We're still here.
We're just getting started, really. We're just getting started. And our elder, who is our special guest today, he's a perfect example of that. Like, you know what I mean?
Baba.
we just getting started. We just getting started.
The last show was so powerful, so powerful.
Before we bring him up, and everything, what was some of your takeaways from last year? What really struck you?
Oh man, so much. I actually wish I had a notepad and pen so I could take notes. But there was so much knowledge that affected me, and I just took away and felt, oh my God, this is life changing stuff.
It's true.
It made me look at life from a different perspective. Especially when he was talking about Trump and politics today.
Mm-hmm.
And as this is what we really need.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can move.
You said, I'm so glad Donald Trump got here on time. I remember that.
And you say, wait, what?
I'm gonna ask him to expound on that. But just for the good of the audience, for the sake of the audience, this is World Radio Day today, by the way. So special shout out to our forum, 51 years and counting, WRFG Atlanta, WRFG Radio. It even to our point about culture and this conversation we're getting ready to get into. This is a perfect example of what humans can do. When Marcus Garvey said, what humans have done, humans can do. And, people feel so, overwhelmed and scared and everything because of this madman that's currently the front face of the empire. But it's been hundreds of years of madmen at the front face, and it is what it is. But what we are focused on is, well, who are we? And as you said, when Baba was mentioning that yesterday, or last week, it really did something for real. So I want to say, just for the family that's joining us on the World Wide Web and coming through Atlanta for the first time, you happen to tune on the radio and wonder what sweetness, what good did you do to deserve this? This is WRFG Atlanta, a station for progressive information and handpicked quality music. That's our tagline, and that's the reality. Listener-sponsored, listener-supported radio. That's why we're able to have this type of programming day in and day out on primetime radio, because we're supported by the listener. We're not supported by them and those who are doing all these kind of foolishness all over the world, So we thank you for your support. We thank you for your continued support and your support, as they say, in the future, So the right now is really the only time. So we thank you. We thank you in many different ways, whether it's financial support, your emotional support, your moral support, you're listening, you're tuning in. We see some people that are joining us over the world on the radio.co app that we have, so we can check out our listeners, where you're listening from in the world, on WRFG.org. Wherever you're listening from, we thank you for tuning in. We're in the middle of a series called Indigenous Dreams. Indigenous Dreams, the culture you love in. The culture you love in. And we've been blessed to have some great guests so far. I mean, shout out to, I don't want to start calling names because I'm going to forget somebody. So let me just say shout out to all the guests. Until I can go to my notes and make sure. But people from various cultures and persuasions, perspectives, reminding us by their stories that there is another reality outside of what we seem to think is reality in this Western world. There is truly another reality. There is. I mean, a very viable, not even the alternative, because that word alternative gets things kind of twisted. Like, if we can't be American, at least we can be this, right? But there is actually a thriving, indigenous, and sustained and sustainable reality
for thousands of years.
Outside of this. So that's what we're tapping into. So I invited Baba Shola and Stan Zeph to just kind of be the co-host, so we can. So y'all, the mic is open for all of you as we speak with our elder. And let me bring him up without any further ado. I'm really grateful for the fact that he took time to be with us this afternoon again.
Baba.
By just our conversation with him last week, he is a cultural worker, to say the least. He's a pioneering filmmaker, from here, a journalist and filmmaker, even from here and on the African continent. And the part of the story where we kind of paused was before he moved over to Africa. He talked about his international travels and how living in Japan really had such a great influence on him. You know, Babalawo, you know, and so much more. So we thank you again, Baba Ernest, for taking the
Thank
time to be
you.
with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Oye,
Great to meet you.
Aboshishe.
To,
So,
it
Baba,
shall be. Bye-bye.
so where we left off, just to recap and everything, you know, because it's such a compelling story. So we want to continue moving forward. But just to recap, to get everyone up to speed that wasn't with us last week, we spoke about how in the 50s you had the opportunity to go to Japan and how this in itself changed your whole mind, changed your life in a way, you know, in terms of the things you saw there. You know, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was through the Air Force, and then we sped up to 1968, the day Martin Luther King was martyred, and how you got a phone call from a friend. You were a photographer then. You got a phone call from a friend and decided to hop on the train. I never asked you which train that was you got on, but you know you got on the train. And
The
went to
A train.
It was the A train.
Yeah.
Okay, and you went to downtown Brooklyn and you know met up with a wall of police and firing into the crowd and all kind of madness. But how that just profoundly again shifted your perspective, you know. And there's so much more, so many more jewels that you shared, as Brother Stan was talking about. There's so many things you shared. So, again, we want to thank you for joining us today. And so you got three of your sons with you. You know what I mean? And that in many ways, I know for a fact because I know these brothers. I don't know if you know them, you've ever met them, but in many ways, following in some of those trails that you've helped to blaze. You know. So, like I said, you know, the proverb say, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go long, go together. So, you know, it's only right that I invited my brothers to partake in this sweetness.
And what an honor it is. Thank you.
So,
Well,
so go ahead.
I'm going to say, this is a wonderful group that you've put together. Baba Shola, he and I go back a long way.
Okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and he was the one of the first real priests that I met here in Atlanta, man.
Mm,
Baba Shola, he might be the first one,
mm,
and he did work for me and a friend of mine that was like right on, and it's still working years later. Years later.
I see something happened with his connection. You say it's still working. You said the work's still working.
Oh yeah.
That's when you know it's real work. That's when you know it's real work. And our brother Stan Zeff, meet Baba
Yes.
Ernest Dunkley.
Greetings, brother.
My pleasure.
Greetings. I
It is
listened to your show
imperative
last
that we
week.
all get together as quickly
Yeah,
as possible because this is a very auspicious time that we are living in.
right.
I mean, we are living at the fulcrum point, the point where the seesaw swings one way and the other way.
Mm,
I mean, there's not been a point like where we are living right now. You'd have to go a long way back, man, hundreds of years.
mm, mm,
You'd
mm.
have to go back to them bringing us here from there. Those of us that weren't here, you know, originally, but we were here always because we, the father of all the people, so we've been everywhere all the time. But uh, right now, our wonderful president has opened the door to a madness that is wonderfully destabilizing the whole world. And he's shaking up the dice, is what he's doing. And he's not looking good. What he's pulling off, it's already too late. Okay, about 2 weeks ago, Pope Francis stood up and said that he had to make something clear to the world um, that should have been made clear but has been hidden. He said, Jesus Christ is black.
I missed that. I ain't hear
I
that.
missed that as well.
And that has been the fulcrum point of the slavery that brought us here. the fact that Jesus Christ was white, so they said, and he said, and Jesus Christ said to the Pope at that time that they should leave Europe and go to these places in the world where people did not know about the baptism of the white Jesus, and make them baptize them all and take them as slaves, take the money, take the country, and it's still working. We're still at that point. But today, these days, Trump has brought America to that point where she's now beginning to tip in the other direction. Many countries have come together, BRICS, which has never happened before in the world, that those countries that we've been taking advantage of could organize themselves, swinging. I remember when I first went to Africa with Baba Lloyd Weaver, Yemaja priest from out of Brooklyn, and we were standing on Bar Beach looking back to where America was in the Far East. And he said to me, I had just met him, and I wasn't acquainted with the Orisha tradition. I knew a little bit about it, but I really wasn't really acquainted with it. And Baba Lloyd said to me, there's been a reading that one day those of us that were taken away would return like a flock of blackbirds coming from out of the east, swooping back over Africa to save us.
Mm.
And that's what's happening now. In 1999, a think tank from Oxford University uh, had some fun, and they were prophesizing what would happen in the new 2000 that was coming that at the end of 1999. And they had 5 prophecies, of which I can only remember 2, maybe 3. One was that the internet was going to completely change the way the whole world does things. It was going to completely change things around. The other was that, the governments of the world were going to recognize that UFOs were real, and they were going to start spending their money to deal with that instead of shooting at one another. The third thing they said was that traditional African religions were going to take huge root in the new world, in the Americas, and be a changing factor in the new century. And I am witnessing this. Quiet as it may seem, we are turning everything around. The young people in the street have no faith in a lot of old people, but they revere the OGs. And that's a beautiful term for those of us that know the meaning of it.
Yes.
They respect the OGs and they respect the beads. That's all they know, OG and beads. And they don't know all that we've done as OGs, because all the stories haven't come out about what we've done. And they don't know what's really behind the beads. They believe there's a magic behind there that will protect them. That more than the magic, it was God that was going to protect them, the African God, the one God. Because there's only one God. Even in all of Africa, that the popes had said that we were all worshiping devils, we only worship the same one God, all of us, everywhere on the continent. But at any rate, so when they brought us here, they did us a favor. That is because God was getting us ready for right this moment.
It's a serious thing you just said there. And Stan Zeph has a question for you.
Yes, Baba Ernest, great listening to you speak. I could just sit here and listen to you speak for hours.
For real.
have a question for you. I heard someone say the other day that the real power is going to come for the indigenous people of the world when they all come together. So they were talking about Africans of African descent, Indians and Indian descent in the Western world, and the same for the Chinese, the main indigenous people of the world, and of course the South Americans. We all need to come together in order to create this power to overthrow or to counteract the energy from the Western world. What are your thoughts on that?
It's already happened. It's called hip hop.
Mm.
That's who the new Christ is. Hip hop. Everywhere in the world, in every language in the world, they're singing to a hip hop beat. It is the drum. It is the drum that is God here. We call it soul. We call it rhythm and blues. We call it jazz. We call it, it's God talking through us and reaching out to those around us. In Haiti, when all the slaves, and the slavery started in Haiti before it came to the rest of everywhere, because that's where Columbus landed first. And in Haiti, 500 years ago, there were at least 25, there were at least 25 tribes in Africa had their people brought into Haiti as slaves. That's how much how many black people they had stolen from along the coast of West Africa. And we were all in Haiti together. And the voodoo group would have a drum session on the time, whenever time they had a little time together, they would drum, because that's all they could do. They couldn't talk the old language. And as these new tribes were brought into Haiti, they all sat in that circle and drummed, and they were all drumming together. The first time in the history of the world when all the tribes dropped tribalism and sat together.
Are you talking about Boy Came On?
Talk about whom?
Boy Came On?
I'm not hearing you. I'm not understanding the word.
Are
Right.
you talking about the ceremony that Boy Came On with Bookman and Cecile?
Oh, no, it happened before that. That was the result of it.
Oh.
That was the result of all of them coming together. That's when the houses had been constructed. The house that I belong to is 500 years old in Haiti, and all of the houses are 500 years old, because that's the root when they came up together. And the traditions of all the religions are put all inside of what's called Haitian voodoo. It's more than it's more than voodoo. It's all the traditions. When the Haitians draw those vevés on the ground with the white powder, that is the formula to what service is going to go on. Those are the symbols for the contributions of each of the 20 some odd tribes. All of that information is inside of Haitian voodoo. And I am Ifa, and when I came to see Haitian voodoo, I know they didn't have a language like we did with the Ifa to write, but when I understood what these vevés they were drawing on the ground, it's another kind of voodoo. I mean, another kind of writing. And it's powerful because the things that they can connect knowledge from one tribe and another tribe and put them together like a quilt work to make a medicine, to make an ogun. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. We're going to take a very short break. We're going to stick a pin right there. I got to play a station announcement. And before we reach them with Baba Ernest Dunkley, and we just stepping into sipping into the water. Stands there for Baba Shola.
Yes.
Are with us, our co-host for the day. Stay tuned to yourself, y'all. I'll be right forward after this very important announcement. Like we said, it's World Radio Day today, and there's no radio station that, for me, even myself, that I would celebrate, even beyond the fact that I'm honored to be an air shifter here as a listener in WRFG. Big things.
Host of Democracy Now!, your daily grassroots, global, independent, international investigative news hour. Today is World Radio Day. We celebrate the power of radio as a vital source of news, information, and public discourse on the most pressing issues of our time. The theme this year is radio and climate. 2024 was the warmest year on record. 2025 marks an important turning point as the United States withdraws from the Paris Climate Agreement. Let us raise our radio voices to highlight the urgent climate issues facing our planet. Let us acknowledge radio's role as an enduring and invaluable form of media across the world.
Yes, indeed. Let's do that. You know, we're seeing it. And I'm going to jump right back in with Baba Ernest because, you know, there's so much that he is sharing. One of the things I think about is when you said that this president is wonderfully destabilizing. Now, I think most people would get that. But for those who don't, please expound on what you mean by wonderfully destabilizing.
He has taken off the cover of the make-believe democracy called America.
So you're saying, and I'm not just saying this, we don't advocate for the so-called devil and all that, whatever that is. But are you saying that it's not just merely that the system is being manipulated and he's manipulating the system? Is that what you're saying? It's just not a matter of more people need to come out and vote and all that. You're saying he is taking off the cloak of the illusion of democracy.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. The fact that this Palestinian thing has been set up long ago and it's being carried through by all the presidents. I mean, right through Obama, he was behind all. They were all going along. This is not something new. What's going on in Palestine? This was thought about way back in the probably in the 50s with that crew that was running the country, and the presidents don't have anything to say about the policies that have been going on before they sat down. I mean, they gotta go along with the party. They all gotta concur, and if you don't, you run into a big problem. It's very easy when there's only two parties,
Right.
and they're all the same. They all went to the same school, so there's no. Well, come on.
And
No. This has been not a democracy. This has been a democracy at the trying to make a democracy work. It has been that, and it's done a good job at that because it's never happened before in the world. But it's sort of been stuck in the mud for the last 100 years, ever since the Red Summer and the destruction of the 35 Black Wall Streets. Not one Black Wall Street was burned. It was 35. The one they told you about was the last one burned. There were 34 burned before that one. And they got us fooled about it too. That's because we don't do the research. Research is important. You've got to find out for yourself. And here in Atlanta, I'm diverging just for a minute. We've got the most fantastic research center in the Black America. Well, the second one, because there's one in New York, library, like
Schomburg.
yeah, the Schomburg, and here this one in Atlanta is fantastic, the Auburn Library.
Mm.
People say, "Where's the information? Where can I get it?" If you went into the Auburn Library, that's always almost empty. When I go in there, I want to cry sometimes because it's like empty. And people are outside not knowing anything. You step out the door and everybody walking by doesn't know anything about Black history. And it's right there in the library. and they have an organization of people that are like friends of the library. And if you join that organization, they'll help you research. They'll tell you how to do it, how to go through all of those books in that library. So I challenge my brothers and sisters that might be listening to this. If you've got a little time and you don't know what to do with it, but you might really want to know a little more, call the Auburn Library and ask them about the organization that's attached to like Friends of the Library that are helping. And when do they meet? You'd like to see Steph come down when they have one of their meetings and meet all of these wonderful Atlanta people that are trying to get this information out. So
Yes,
now
sir.
back to Haiti.
Hmm.
Haiti, the, how Christianity has really been doing a job on Haiti is saying that it's pagan. What they fail to tell you is that Jesus Christ and his mother Mary sit in the center of voodoo, Haitian voodoo, not African voodoo, Haitian voodoo. Haitian voodoo, the first prayer said of the Lord's Prayer in Creole, right after a shoe. And most of the ceremonies, the big important ceremonies, the Lord's Prayer is said. And if you're a Catholic, you know about the prayer that we have to his mother Mary. That's said also. And their effigies are right there painted alongside of Ogun and Oshun. So you're not getting away from Christianity. It's one of the religions that are pulled into side the voodoo, the Haitian voodoo. You a Haitian will tell you that Haiti is 100%, no, it's 95% Christian and 100% voodoo. And that's true because Africans don't have a problem because they know there's only one God. So whether you call him whatever name you want to call him or she, it's God. And with the Pope just saying a week or two ago that Jesus is black, that was the hold that white people have been using on us to say that God is white and you're black and you're the devil. And there will be repercussions from this.
Even
So
though it
this
was in
happens at the same time that we got Trump, we got the Pope. Man, this is beautiful.
even though it was in Revelations, feet like burnt brass and hair like lamb's wool.
Let me hear that again. It was,
Even though in the Bible in Revelations it said Jesus had feet like burnt brass and hair like lamb's wool.
oh yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
they don't talk about that.
they don't talk about it. That's right.
So,
In fact, in Catholic, I'm a Catholic at birth, and we weren't allowed to read the Bible. They came and gave us what part of the Bible they wanted us to hear on Sunday, and that was
Really?
it. Other than that, they have a little book that they call a catechism of the do's and don'ts you're supposed to follow. Really? You learn when you go to Catholic school, you learn the catechism. You don't learn a damn thing about the Bible.
Mm.
And that's why I walked away from being an altar boy when I was about 11 years old, because I knew that my grandmother was not going to be in heaven because of the things that she was doing that I loved her for. And I realized that if she wasn't going to heaven, I didn't want to go to heaven too, and I walked away.
3 minutes before the hour of three. 3 minutes before the hour of three, you tune into the Ancestral Rock on your station for progressive information and handpicked quality music. Baba Ernest, there's so many different places. We got Baba Shola back on the line. Make sure you touch your mic, Baba Shola. I want to bring you into this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear Baba Ernest. He was bigging you up. He said you the first real priest he met when you came to Atlanta. You did some work for him, and the work's still working.
I say.
You know,
Yes.
well, Baba Ernest, there's something about your story that I want to ask you to kind of let's go there for a minute. We're going all over our world, and it's a beautiful thing how we reason. You know, we see the world in circles, so it's not a straight line and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate what you're sharing with us. You mentioned about after those rebellions that are, misnomered riots, after Martin Luther King was martyred, right? After Dr. King was martyred. If I remember it correctly, you're saying that, I don't know if it was state government or federal government, and Ossie Davis was a name that you mentioned that took advantage of this, but they established some programs to train people in filmmaking, for black people in filmmaking. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you took that knowledge and went to Nigeria
That's
and
correct.
actually became a pioneer in the filmmaking industry over there. That's now a big old huge $1 billion industry. But I want to ask you, let me just pause to say you're tuned to WRFG Atlanta 89.3 on the FM dial, WRFG.org. We're here until the 4 o'clock hour. If you're driving around Atlanta, you need to get out your car and go back into the office or into the home or whatever. Tune in with us on WRFG.org. Much love to all the family. We got some sweet music we're going to share with you. And right now, the sweet music is primarily in the form of this conversation with our elder, Baba Ernest Dunkley. So, Baba Ernest, straightforward, what compelled you to go to Nigeria? And tell us a little bit about that journey. What made you go there, of all places?
One, because I had an offer to do a job there. But one of the brothers that went through the training program in New York with me, he was part of a group that went to Nigeria to train the news gathering knowledge to the Nigerian Television News Authority, NTA, and he wanted to actually get out of that contract because he had found another job that was even better than that one, and he called me and said, "Hey, you want to go to Nigeria?" I said, "Yeah." To teach? I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, you can take my place at teaching in Nigeria," and I did. And I was part of the team of about 35 African Americans and Latinos that went over there to teach. And I stayed when the contract was over, and we were supposed to return. Four of us stayed on and opened up a company. We got Nigerian support. Some Nigerians lent us $250,000, and we set up a studio. And I tell every Black American that I run into, if you have knowledge and you go to Africa with it, someone will step up and support you, will back you. If they know that you are truthful, that you're not going to steal the money, they may, but they want to make sure that you're not. And
Accurate.
uh, but I mean, that's real. And you got to be business savvy, and you can get things done there in Africa that you'll never get done over here, particularly if you're up to speed with your knowledge in the area that you're dealing with.
True. So, with this job in Nigeria, before you took that job, also what I remember from your timeline was that you had been not a priest, but a priest in the Church of God in Christ, is the Holiness Church.
Yes, that's right. And I'm still that because they all go together.
True. So you mentioned about. I remember you describing this beautiful brownstone that y'all had,
Oh, yeah.
and that you kept up for years until something happened with the flood. So you kind of mentioned you kind of answered it already, but I want to ask you about your elevation, the transformation, if that's the word, if that's the appropriate word, the journey from strength onto strength, as they say. As this holiness pastor, now you're in Nigeria and you're starting to see other things. What kind of things did you see that may have opened up your eyes some more, that would have even compelled you eventually to be initiated?
Um, as a result of being there, many of the brothers and sisters in the States wanted to stay with us, to come to visit Africa, Nigeria, particularly on all occasions to be initiated into the African traditions. So our compound became the stop-off place for many, many people that came over and became priests.
And before you go too further, I want to ask you, what year was that you went over there? What year?
I went over in '83 and I left in '98. And Norman stayed on until 2015. No, more than that. That was my partner, the priest Norman. I'm not Norman. Lloyd. Norman Marcel was the bishop that helped me to enter the Church of God in Christ. Reverend Norman Marcel. We went to school together. And I found and still find the Bible very much true when it hasn't been tampered with. What it has happened with us here is that they they've taken the truth and put a little steel hook inside of it, and that steel hook is keeping us ignorant
Mm, mm.
of ourselves.
What's the steel hook? What is that? What is that? Which?
A steel hook, I use that the term that a fisherman does when he wants to eat. He gets a worm and he puts a steel hook in it and puts a string on the end of the line and throws it in the water. And the fish sees the fat, juicy worm, which is going to be healthy and good for him and his children. And he bites on down on the tender morsel. And that's the end of his life.
But I'm saying in the Bible sense, what is that steel hook? That what
Oh,
is that?
what the
That
steel hook
analogy?
is, the steel hook number one is omission. Omission means something is being left out.
Mm.
They'll give you some truth going in a direction and then they'll leave something out. They left out, for instance, that we were the people that all those stories were about,
Mm.
which would have made a big difference in our lives if we knew that we were the sons of God and not the sons of the devil. You see, omission means by leaving it blank, they leave it for us to fill in. And the only images they give for us to fill in, once they brought us here and didn't allow us to use a language, our own languages, was the language they gave us, the Bible, the white and the black. And they said that God was white. And with that, that was the whole reason for them to make us listen to them because we were pagans. African Americans truly believe this. And so many are lost. We're going to leave a lot of people behind because they're stuck. They're
So
stuck.
true. So true. So true. I just, a couple of years ago, I was in Egypt and was traveling down the Nile and stopping off at the different temples. And one common thing throughout all the temples was that the hieroglyphics had all pictures of the Egyptian gods and deities, and they were all black. And I'd known of this before, but even seeing it was such an eye opener for me. But some of the people I was traveling with, they had never come across the concept of a god being black, and it totally blew their minds. You know, that was it in Egypt, their first time to Egypt, and seeing all the depictions of the Egyptian gods were all black. Totally blew their minds.
And the interesting thing about that is that when you look at that list, when they give the list of the Egyptian gods, the first two, again, which I mentioned last week, are gods of the pygmies. And the word pygmy is a Greek word, which means up to my elbow. So we should really stop calling pygmies pygmies. We should really find out that they are the Twa, what nation they are, the people of the Twa, you know, things like that. But pygmy is a derogatory term, you know, sort of like NIGG, you know, you know, uh, we need to help our brothers because the first Christ was a pygmy. When you realize that Adam and Eve were did all their work at a certain time in America, in Africa, you realize that the only people that in Africa at that time were the pygmies. So, and don't feel bad because the pygmies are still smarter than us. That's the thing that blows my mind. They have a 10,000 word lexicon. We don't even use 300 words in our conversation. And the pygmies have a 10,000 word lexicon. That means they really look deeply into nature, further than we look. And when you understand them, you realize that they stay in the bush because they know it's dangerous out here with us because we don't know how to behave. And they're right. We don't know how to behave. And Ifa has come to teach us how to behave, and it does a fantastic job. It does what the psychiatrists call themselves doing. It does what the so-called um, organized priests call themselves doing. It does what the sociologists say they do. Those people are not doing anything, and they're still learning by hurting us. Ifa, and Ifa is in China. It's known as the I Ching. And Confucius, it was what gave Confucius the philosophy that he used that changed China. We don't even know how deep this goes. Anyway,
And when you said that Ifa is doing a job of that, showing us how to behave, I want to ask you to expound on that a little bit. In what way?
well,
In what way?
the meaning, the reason for Ifa, the whole, in a nutshell, is called good character. That one is seeking good character within yourself, that you become a good character. And it gives you a list of 236 different problems, that areas of problems that affect the human. The word man, M-A-N, is an ancient Sanskrit word, which is an Indian language. India was the first daughter of Africa. And man means thinker, solver of problems. It doesn't mean penis. A woman did not come from a man's rib. If anything, he came from her. She's got the facilities for that. So this led me off track because this thing keeps going and going. But if Ifa were taught, and the thing about Ifa is not a religion; it's a tradition.
And what's the difference? Because you're using
Oh,
you're making some serious points, especially serious because of how words, the connotation of words in this modern time. So
yeah,
what's
we've
the
been
difference?
caught up in that already. That's what's keeping us in the loop that we're in. The way they use words with us and change the meaning of things. Um, so your question was, let me have that question again.
No, when you're saying it's not a religion, it's a
Oh,
tradition.
it's a tradition. Yeah.
It's functionally speaking, what is the difference?
Okay. If you want to know really what's the difference, if you go to Africa, and again, let's go to a country like Nigeria, Ghana, and you're leaving with some traditional artifacts. The European would call it black magic. If you're leaving with artifacts that deal with the African spirituality tradition, which again is what Europeans would call voodoo or black magic in their mind. When you get to the gentleman at the gate of the airplane, the customs man there that's looking through the bags to make sure you're not carrying anything on the bag in your bags. He'll ask you what's in that bag over there, and if you say tradition, he'll leave it alone. He won't investigate it. It's none of his business. It's your tradition. Um, Religion is where if you don't do it, they're gonna beat you up. It means you're in a line in a regiment like a soldier. You do what the priests say. In Ifa, you do what you want to do because your ass is going to benefit from the results of it, bad or good.
That's right. I think Ifa caught me before I knew what Ifa was. And the reason why I say that is because I think when I first started college, I was fascinated with electronics. And electronics is all about ones and zeros, on or off. And they've got all these logic gates and to convert analog to digital, and technology is all around ones and zeros. So when I started working in technology, and you had to design all these devices that controlled the internet, it's all about ones and zeros. So when I was first introduced into IFA in about 2006, I was fascinated to see that IFA was just ones and zeros. And it's really from what I could see, it was the language of the universe. It's either on or off. There's nothing in between. It's either yes or no, because your answer is yes or no. You know.
My audio.
And then as you interpret IFA more and more, the ones and zeros give you an overall answer of how you should live your life, your destiny, and your purpose here through ones and zeros. So it was really the basis of all technology and life as we know it.
Ancient technology. 404-523-8989. 404-523-8989 is the number. I think we may open up the phone lines a little later for those of y'all who may have questions or comments. I see some comments in the chat. We're just attempting to. It's so much to share, and on one level, I love Proverbs stanza. Because they say so much and so little. They say if you play this full, eat slow. Baba Shola.
Yeah.
You've been in and out. I know you're on the move, but I just want to give you an opportunity to chime in.
Okay, yeah. For some reason my signals is kind of bad, but the things that I did here, phenomenal. Baba Ernest has always been a phenomenal man, Baba elder. And he said one thing about that kind of struck me some time ago. He said that because I'm a drummer, that it just hit my heart. That was in Haiti. That was the first time when the tribes put down tribalism and came together. That was so beautiful to just hear it stated like that. And it's interesting that in Cuba and now in America, we're doing that again. Um, in a sense of bringing together the traditions of Africa under the banner of Black liberation, religious freedom, and such. So that was very interesting to hear, and it reminded me of something that Baba Metahochi's grandchildren taught us about a year ago. We were learning some Haitian songs, and one song says, "Kashebo ibulele, kashebo ibulele, kashebo ibulele," and they told us that song talks about when the Igbo came to Haiti. They were some of the last tribes, and were somewhat resistant. And the song was telling them, "Come into the house, Igbo. Come into the house." They're drumming and dancing, singing, "Don't be over there. Come over here with us." And so that was just, it just made my day to hear, that the drum helped to bring people together. And also the last piece that Baba Stan just touched on about Ifa and the language of the binary code. Um, Ifa's yes and no. It's black or white. It's no gray area. Either it is or it ain't. And that was something that really draw me to Ifa because in life there's so many gray areas. But Ifa is this or is that, and I respect the people who live under that binary code of either it is or it ain't. And so, yeah, I just give thanks for being here, Baba Ernest. Uh, we've known each other for like over 25 years, and yeah, to hear you talk about your experiences has been phenomenal. I didn't hear the podcast last week, but I would definitely go back and listen because I know I missed some jewels.
Yes,
You got any,
definitely.
you
There's
got
some
any
jewels there.
questions you want to ask him?
Well, no, you asked the one I wanted to ask about what led you to Nigeria, because I always want to kind of know, like, how does a Babalawo become a Babalawo? Is it through spiritual quest? Was it something that you were doing that led you into? Was it another profession? And I didn't know it was film, and that's
Oh,
even more amazing. The documentation of our culture, our people. Um, yeah, that's what Ifa priest is. We document through the Odu Ifa the things that happen in the past and relate them to things happening in the present day to predict and manifest what's coming in the future. So
I
that.
would like to tell you about that. And I'd like to say to the young people that might be listening that we wear the beads are given to us when we receive initiation into the tradition. When we are baptized into our African heritage, they give us the beads to the African spiritual saints that are part of our consciousness. And but all of the traditions don't give beads. And there's no magic in the beads. The beads only say that, yes, you've been baptized.
Hmm.
But the beads, the power of the knowledge that the beads bring, open up the magic in you.
Very neat.
I've known old Ifa priests, when you walk in the room, they don't even have to throw the opele. They can just start telling you who you are.
Hmm.
The vibration, it's all about that drum. Seriously, the whole
Hmm.
world is dancing to our music.
Hmm.
For someone to do that, you got to understand you've got control of them.
Right.
And now, what do you do with the control?
Hmm.
And we're not doing anything. We don't even know how to pick ourselves up.
Hmm.
When we realize that there is nothing in the world stopping us from doing anything we want to do, if we do it peacefully and using the spirit, right now, if we just stop buying white, what I mean from it would what it would do would be to let them know that our money is necessary for this country to go forward because they would lose money. That's how much money we spend. So we don't have to fight them. What hurts them is losing money. That's what they keep. That's why we were brought here as slaves. It was about money, and
Hmm.
money still runs what they do. Even now, the president is getting ready to turn Palestine into Coney Island.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because he's
Yeah.
about money.
Baba
He
Roscovi, I do have a
worships the.
question. I have a question.
Please.
Um, Baba Ernest mentioned earlier that the young people respect the beads and OGs, which should probably be made into a song, a T-shirt, a flag, because that's so profound, and so true. Baba Ernest, uh, because we have that attention of our young people now, um, coupled with the fact that our youth learn a lot from social media, and a few people are reading as much as we would. Uh, Everything is very quick information. Because we have the attention of our young people through the OGs and the beads, and it's in my experience, it's definitely decreased the potential for violence in our community. What how as an elder, how do you see us facilitating more knowledge to the youth and more camaraderie and more unity?
My brother, that is the mission of my life right now.
That's the $5 billion question right there you just asked there, brother.
You asked me that's what I am doing this instant
I say.
because everything you said is 2000% correct. And we have the world's attention. We don't know that. We don't know that they honor everything that we do. And when I look at those movies from Africa now, they have every stupid thing that we do copied. All of the negative stuff that we show when we do our videos and stuff or in our songs, they're doing that in their songs. The whole world is waiting for us to show them the next step. And and the internet that makes this show possible is the medium that will allow this to happen. We can take over mass media next week. If they talk to me, I'll show them how to do that. The equipment that it takes to do this show that Ross is doing right now is the same equipment that you can use to do radio programming, talking books, copy, record plays and movies, history. You cover every form of mass media. Mass media is media that comes to you in a hurry and it's cheap. Like the radio, you turn it on in the morning to get the news. The newspapers come out every day. They got the news. The news reporter with the news. Those morning shows with the news. That's mass media. You turn it on and they're singing the songs. So all of this stuff you're getting for free, but you're not really getting it for free because someone's paying for it. The advertisers are paying for it. And the advertisers pay big bucks to get your attention. Because while you're in the mood that you're in, those advertisements stick in your mind. You will be looking for the golden arches when you're hungry for McDonald's. It works. I did advertising in Nigeria for 15 years, and it works. If it's pretty and smells good and tastes good or whatever, they're gonna buy it. And if they see someone else with it and they're having a good time, they want it. And the mind works on this. Our mind never stops clicking. You never stop thinking. That's why drugs are such a heavy thing in our communities, to quiet the mind, to relax it. And they don't get it from the religions that they're in or whatever they're doing, and they got to do more and more of everything. No, we can do this yesterday. We can do what you're saying yesterday. I'm in the process of doing it now. I was trying to do it on a larger platform, but I'm doing it on a smaller platform. The Voodoo House that I belong to in Philadelphia, right now I'm producing the autobiography of our mother who's passed away, uh, and her history of going to Haiti and living there and bringing this information back to us about Haiti and voodoo.
Hmm.
So I'm writing a book that's going to be um, turned into a talking book because all books can have a talking facility built right into the cover. I mean, right into it. You can get talking. So we don't, I know our people don't like to read. Talking books is what they want. We give them talking books. And the music because the drum is everything. Yes, and we put the correct music on words on the music like we did in the beginning when hip hop started, and those white producers crushed it because they saw the power of those early groups in hip hop, how they grabbed our young people and had them thinking correctly. It lasted just a few years, and then the P Diddy's got in it,
Right, right. We got a
and we got to
caller.
turn it back. We the other people. We're the good guys, and we got to jump on stage right now.
I
So
mean,
my, my my daughter, I was talking to my daughter, and I asked her, what does she think about the Super Bowl? And we just have these general conversations. She said, "Yeah, Baba, Kendrick Lamar, he did this, he did that." And I said, "So who's?" I'm a little out of touch with that genre somewhat. So I said, "Who was the young lady that was singing with Kendrick Lamar that had on the red?" So she goes to, "Oh, Baba, you don't know who that is? That's SZA. She's this, she's that, she's that." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know. But who is she?" And she played a song that SZA made. I said, "Okay, yeah, I heard it on the radio and blah, blah, blah." She said, "Baba, she practiced a recent tradition." I said, "What do you mean?" So she played me a song. It was a regular love song, sound like a regular R&B song, but at the end, there was sound like a live recording from Cuba singing to Oshun with drums and everything. I said, "Wow." So to your point of we have people's attention, and I don't think we know how much we have their attention, speaks to what you're saying. Like, we could do it yesterday, but I don't think we know our influence, and that's one of our things that we struggle with now. We don't know our power. We don't understand our power, which keeps us from expressing our power.
Exactly.
Yeah, it keeps us also looking for love in all the wrong places. I want to go to a call real quick. Even when you talk about power, because that's all three of y'all have me on the edge of my seat. Because Baba Ernest, you're bringing us right home in your own way through telling your own story to this whole question of power again. I see a lot of us every day sell ourselves short, chase waterfalls, like the sisters them say, and everything else, based on a desire to have a proximity to power, which is a natural desire.
And we do,
But we don't
and
even
we
know that
have
we
it.
do. So let's just go to this call real quick. Caller, you're live.
Oh, hi, Baba. I remember seeing you at the library. Hopefully, you'll give out your information again. I had lost your contact, but I don't know if you remember, but I was one of the guys that I think I asked you a question when Malcolm X's daughter was visiting, and what I had asked you was I said, you know what? The Arabs in Islam, we have a divination system. They call it istikar, and they got different methods that they do. Or they might do certain prayers, and then they or fast, or then they sleep until they see something. And I say, well, each far you have something where you do something with the dots. You take these dots and you make them. And I say, well, the Arabs do that. They call it Rommel. And then you said, yeah, the Arabs got it from us, brother. But also the divination of the Dogon, they use the same type of dots, but they use it in a different kind of way. If you could expound on that, because you said the Arabs got it from the Yorubas, but also I wanted to ask you also about the drum. I got a friend from Senegal, and the drum is a real important instrument in Senegal, in Ghana, in Gambia, pretty much all the various African countries. Well, my Senegalese friend, he knows I like music and the drum and anything with some boom to it. And he said, "You know what, brother? I'm gonna tell you, the drum is haram." Meaning, he said the prophet and a lot of the spiritual people say the drum is a haram instrument, meaning forbidden. But yet and still, I personally, because all music, it depends on how you use music. I don't believe the drum is haram because I know that when I'm around African gatherings, whether in Senegal or Ghana or even some of the drum circles here, when they're drumming, I feel good. I feel like a powerful feeling. I don't feel like it's a haram type of thing or a forbidden type of thing. But my Senegalese friend said, "Brother, it's haram. You either drop it, you can leave it alone." But you got a lot of Senegalese playing the drum. But and then one of my friends, he's a jazz artist, And he kind of said the same thing because he said that certain drumming patterns bring spirits. And I have another African friend to say, well, you got positive spirits and you got negative spirits. And you know, people in the Abrahamic traditions, they say angels and demons. And one of my African friends said angels and demons, spirits. You got good spirits, you got bad spirits, no difference. And there is a use for the positive and the negative, because when you're dealing with spirituality, you got to have the masculine and the feminine. But the Christianity, the Islam, and the Judaism took out the feminine aspect and made it patriarchal instead of making it feminine and masculine. So I wanted to mention that. And like the brother told me, he said certain codes when you're drumming, you're bringing in spirits because it unlocks certain, unlocks certain spiritual realms or portals. And it's probably true because the Native American is real important. But yeah, and you go to some Arab countries, they be using the drum too, but they tell you that it's haram, and they tell you it's in the hadith, it's haram, shouldn't be doing it. So I want you to expound on that because when you're around the drum and circuit, it feels like a healing thing. You feel the power, you feel good.
Absolutely.
People start dancing and stuff.
Thank you.
I want information too.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your call, and we're going to definitely ask Baba to give his information. We're going to hang up now and let him answer your question, okay? All right, much love.
Was that for me to answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The parts that were questions, if you'd like to.
Okay, well, that's religion again. When you speak about haram, you're speaking about religion. You're speaking about laws that religions have. And, you know, the beauty about Africa for me is that the things that one tribe will not do, you go across the street and another tribe will be doing it. And I love that because then they're all not the same. Like white people say, I can't tell them apart. They may not be able to tell us apart, but we're all not the same. And Islam is a new religion as such. It came from out of Abraham, which was a new religion as such. And they say they came out of Egypt, which would have made them black as such. And that when Jesus Christ was born, they had all disappeared again back to where they came from. And there was only one tribe left, the tribe of Judah, where we get the words Jew from. So that's how all of these white people got to be in it, because by the time Christ was born, the only tribe left was Judah. So the information was being carried by Judah, and the Europeans, the Greeks, it started with the Greeks and it went all the way up into Russia, that these people were converted to Judaism. So that's who we have now in a place called Israel that are trying to destroy the real owners of the land, the Palestinians. The slavery that was put on us by the European, I understand by some people, which I haven't studied very deeply though, is greater than the slavery that the Muslims put on us. The Muslim jihad stopped at Nigeria. It swept from North Africa. They took all of Egypt. All of that became Arab, all the way down to Nigeria, the top of Nigeria. And that's where it stopped, the jihad. And that's where they put their imprint, and it's still there. And that's why there are these Boko Harams and all of this and that, because there were a lot of traditions there before Islam came. And so, and tribalism separates them all. We have been blessed to have all of the different bloods that were put into us. We're kind of an experiment that God made. She knew that we have a system that can't be broken. The American Indians couldn't stand up under a lot of the pressure. A lot of them couldn't, at least in the Caribbean, and that's when they started bringing in the blacks as a heavy thing. But it wasn't. It was the a lot of the disease, the measles and the chicken pox and the whooping coughs and the colds. They couldn't handle any of the stuff that the Europeans brought, the syphilis, the gonorrhea, killing a lot of them. So, and the black ones seem to stand up stronger than a lot of the other ones because we're strong. We took a lot of mental mental beating and destruction and still come back ticking. And a lot of the other people didn't. It destroyed them. Look at the American Indians. A lot they took them from their homes, took them from their religion, put them in Catholic schools where they raped them, or Christian schools where they raped them, killed them. Half as many were let out at the end, and they couldn't even speak their language anymore. They didn't even know their gods. Right now, some of the nicest work I've done in Ifa has been for the Mexicans from Mexico. The Mexicans are heavy into our tradition. They're looking to find a way back home to their tradition. And when we do readings for them, we tell them to go when we give them the solution to it, we tell them you need to now go into your older people that are still around and ask them what did they do when they were, what was going on when they were young? What did they do? What did their parents do? And try to pull that information up to heal yourself back into your tradition. So Ifa is big in Mexico City coming. I mean, like, whoa, you don't know. You don't know. We are on the move. And the Mexicans have more respect for it than we do. That's what hurts me. When you give them their warriors, which is the first shrines that you get when you enter, man, the Mexicans from all around the state of Georgia show up in there just to bring gifts and whatnot for them, for just their war. Something to us is a very simple thing. To them, it's wonderfully magnificent.
And I think, Baba Ernest, even to the brother's point and to your point, there is something to be said about how Kwame Nkrumah put it, how the colonialists took our cocoa and sold it back to us as chocolate. So even before you get to the different religious aspect, as you said, there are many people who, because they are seeking to get home, they'll see something that is ours, and we don't even see it. We don't have the same appreciation for it. I just look at the land. I look at agriculture as a farmer. I look at how the sister Leah Penningman, whose book I think you would really enjoy tremendously. I think she's a voodoo priest herself. It's a book called Farming While Black, but she brought out this thing in the book said, the land was the scene of the crime, but the land was not the criminal. But look at how so many of us, even though the earth is the repository, the source of all material wealth, and we were masters of that. Because of our mastery, that's why we were sought out by these colonizers, and brought to these distant shores. Those, like Baba Ernest said, those of us who weren't already here. That's another conversation. But our mastery of the land, our ability, because of our mastery, which includes our harmony with this environment, our harmony with the earth, But fast forward to now, so many of us are ashamed or scared to touch the land, which is what, if America ever was great, that's what made America great.
It's the land.
It's the land. It's the fruit of the land, and the people who work the land, people who taught them how to do this. But so I'm just saying, it seems like it's a thing that's not just in religious terms. And I bring that up because I know a lot of times people get squeamish when you talk about religion. And, it is what it is. I mean, we're here for it. But, you know, just to bring that out, there's a fundamental formula at play where people. I mean, the proverbs say that there's so many proverbs that say it. So I know it's an old human condition that you never miss your water till your well run dry. You know, you don't know what you have in front of you until it's gone. All these kind of things. You know, so this is what it is. And also to the brother, to your point, brother, the brother that called, I would just say, you know, we actually have a guest coming up that's going to help us with this even deeper. Our brother Imam Isan Muhammad. But I would say just do some research on this, the difference between Arab culture and Islam, and you know, true Islam. You know, same thing like with Roman culture and original Christianity. You know, there's always the cultural nuances of the colonizer who are propagating these things for their benefit, and then there's the essence of the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. That's why, you know, the drum really is our heartbeat. You know, and the colonizers will always try and take us off track, move us out of sync with nature. It's the heartbeat of the planet. It's the drum. It was the first ever instrument, along with our heartbeat. We need the drum in order to live. We need the drum patterns and the rhythms in order for us to raise our consciousness, in order for us to think in a different way. You know, I remember the first drum ceremony, the tambor I went to in Cuba. It was back in 2006, and it was this small house. The front room was probably smaller than this studio, and when the bata drummers started playing, it's like the whole room expanded. It was like a TARDIS. It was like as if, you know, you was originally in this small room, and then it seemed like there were hundreds of people in the room, in this small room, and they started playing. And I remember this big guy, he was like taller than me, 6'4", 6'5", and he was dancing to the batter drums, and he dropped, and they had to take him outside. And I tensed up, and I was like, no, this can't happen to me. This can't happen to me. You know, I didn't know what was going on, but the orishas were coming down left, right, and center, and raising consciousness. I can say from that experience, I've never been the same. And it did, although I tensed up and I tried to not be drawn in, it still took me over.
Right. Baba Ernest, I want to ask you to talk about something that the brother mentioned there, and Stan Zeph in his own way just mentioned it again. Let's just get it straight to the head, go straight to the heart with it. In terms of spirit, I mean, any of these things we're talking about, before I ask the question directly, is a whole lifelong journey, you know, worth much more than a soundbite. But for the sake of our discourse today and for public education, talk a little bit about the distinction between, in his words, you know, good spirit, bad spirit. Talk about how our and I'm saying in his words because I don't really want to get into the good and bad, you know, thing. That's a whole thing in itself, you know. But we know that, or some would say, malevolent and benevolent. You know, I mean, in even in all the major world religions, which have become the standard in some people's minds, you know, there is this thing of, you know, well, there's good energy and negative energy. You know, there's benevolent energy and there's parasitic energy. So could you address that, Baba Ernest, just in terms of if there's a distinction, how would you help the average person, like the brother who called, and he's speaking for many people who are grappling with making that distinction so that they don't throw out the baby with the bathwater?
Okay. The Orisha, to understand the Orisha, the name for the entities created by God, because God created them, we call them the divinities, that they are products of God. It doesn't mean that they're God. It means that they're products of God. That's from our traditions. European traditions, they may talk about angels. But we talk about aspects that God built into human beings, into this mind that never stops thinking. Ogun, Ogun, which is the divinity of of creating things out of things, engineering, engineering. They call him the god of iron because making iron is a process, a type of chemical process. And when they call him the god of iron, it's not because he's so much his strength and all of that. It's the knowledge of how to turn one thing into another. Ogun says that the knife that butters bread is the same knife that takes life. And don't forget it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Very
That's
clear.
built. That's
The
built
same,
into
the same,
us.
the same
It's built
sun.
into us.
Yeah,
It's not a devil coming from somewhere. The second story in the Bible is Cain killing Abel, his brother. There's only four people in the world: Adam and Eve, and Cain and Abel. That's the way the book starts out. And then one kills the other one because he's jealous. That's the first thing in the book. The book starts out with fratricide, brother killing brother. If you read the book, then there's nothing to talk about. At least the first part of the book. We are everything. We are truly magic. When we excel and the magic happened to us, I've seen things that only could be called magic that people do. But it's because they have evolved. They say that when you're born, by the time you reach 6 years old, all of the true great power that you have has been quieted down by your family, your peer group, the community, the police. By the time you get to be the age to be a man to get a driver's license, you're told when the police stop you not to look him in the eye, not to do.
So we lost the connection there. 404-523-8989. We got 10 minutes left in the show.
Wow, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Time is moving and passing, running and passing. Here we go, Baba Ernest. I think we got you back. Can you hear us?
Sorry, no audio going.
No, we here. We all here. Can you hear us?
Okay,
Yeah, we see you and hear you clearly.
here we go.
Yeah.
It seems that when someone tries to call me, it breaks the audio link.
Oh, yeah, it does that. It does that.
But yeah, I think I've done house cleanings for people where I've cleared spirits out of the house, and they're real. I've seen them. I've seen them. So this is a big thing. I mean, yes, there are spirits, and there are spirits that won't be cleaned out of a house. We've run into that too. That's how strong they were. But when I saw my first spirit, it shook me. It shook me because I never experienced anything like. I never even thought about it. But in the voodoo, we get clients that come in that have, they say they believe there's something in the house, and my godmother would send me to go, she taught me, and I became the house cleaner. But they're there. So what the young man says is that there's a lot to be understood
Yeah.
about how powerful we are.
Yes.
And I've seen my godmother in possessions do things that were totally impossible that she wasn't even aware of because she was in possession. And I've witnessed things in Haiti that were totally impossible, but I was there, and they were real. And they came from people who had not had that power inside of them crushed. It's like great basketball players and sports. It's the same thing in our world of spirit, that there are those of us that have not had their spirit washed out of them. But that's what civilization does. To be civilized the way they're talking about is to have all of the power wiped out of you. And that's usually religion that does that.
Got it. Serious thing. We got 6 minutes left in the program. I just can't thank you enough. I want to give the opportunity to Baba Shola and Baba Stan in the studio to share something more. I don't even have no questions. You know what I mean? There's a million questions. However, we just flowing, and there's so much that's been put out there. Baba Shola, you came back on. I don't know if you heard the young man when he called, was talking about, in my estimation, it all brings back to us finding proximity to power. And as you said before the brother came on, we don't know how powerful we are. So finding proximity to power, it's been said by so many people in so many different ways. Even in the popular context, the kingdom of God is within you. What does that really mean? If you really take a look at that, so this energy that I perceive to be almighty and everything, it is within me. So then I'm interested in every day on the street, dealing with this political climate, dealing with the shifting climate, the actual physical, weather, dealing with everything that we're dealing with, in so-called 2025, according to somebody's clock. What does that look like in terms of baby steps or giant steps, really returning to our power? Because it don't seem to me to be this insurmountable mountain that we got to climb over, that, it's just, it's something that it might take 1,000 years to, it seemed to me to be as simple as a deep breath. That sounds like oversimplification. So let's go to Baba Shola first, and then we're going to seal up with you, Stan Zeph, and give Baba Ernest the final word.
Okay, yeah, like you said, it's just like taking a deep breath. I think baby steps are for our people to simply, I don't want to say know thyself, but just know who you are. And if you don't know who you are just by looking in the mirror and assessing, you could go by what people say about you, what they think about you and such. And I can only talk about myself. Like, I've always been a connector, a person that connects people between groups, teams, communities, and such. And so when I chose my tool, which is the drum, I just took what I am and expressed that in the drum. And so now I use the drum to connect people to spirits. And so basically it's like breathing. You know who you are, you find out who you are, you know who you are, you practice who you are, and when you pick up a tool, whether it's a microphone, a pen, a camera, a drum, you just basically use what that is, that spirit, and use that through your tool. Basically, it's just like if you looked at a Michael Jordan, he was probably already a dynamic entertainer or a captivating type person. When he put the tool in his hand, which was a ball, he just started to do that, So I think it's very simple. You don't have to figure out something else besides what you already are. And when you decide which tool you're going to use to express that, you just express that through your tool.
That's right.
Sure.
Yep.
Um,
Ashe.
just leading on from that, from what Baba Shola has said, which is also true. For me as well, it's definitely a mindset of people of coming out of scarcity and moving into a realization of what you can actually do. I think someone put it years ago. We suffer from a destructive gene, so we come up with all the good ideas and all the things that we want to do, which are great, and then something kicks in for us, and we say, yeah, but what about this? What about that? And doubt kicks in. So it's moving the mindset It's moving the mindset from scarcity into abundance, and not being scared and facing our fears, so that we can move into a mindset where everything is able to be accomplished. And through what I do, through the music that I play, through the events, it's more of I put on a show so that people can see what they can do. Mm-hmm. Just to be here, just to do what I do, and say, you can do this too, and I can help you do it. Don't think in scarcity, think in abundance.
Thanks. And speaking of the music that you play, I'll see if I can pull up this Bananas track that you just blessed us with. This is Baba Shola here, what you got going on. Oh, yeah. If I can share it. I just got to tease y'all. You got to get up out of here.
Thank you, Baba. Baba Shola.
That's the maestro stands there doing his madman thing. That stands there doing his madman thing.
Sound of the drum.
Just a teaser.
Yeah, thank you for playing it.
Just a teaser. We're gonna run that red though. We're gonna run that red next week. That's Bananas. I want to thank our special guests for joining us. Baba Shola got a smile on his face. Because you know that thing there is crazy. Baba Ernest, thank you so much for taking your time to be with these young bulls, young cubs. You know, Marcus Garvey said that when he was leaving the scene, you know, it's all good because he got plenty cubs in the bush, you know, and that's the reality of every generation. You know, so we're grateful for you taking the time to be with us and just share of your wisdom, you know, share of your wisdom which comes through experience. I often think about something I think I repeated last week, something I saw one day that was expressed in such a profound way. Brother said, you know, if you ever meet somebody that's wise and you just enthralled by their wisdom, you know, it's like ask them, what pain have you felt in your life? You know, what struggles have you been through? Because that's what forges wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Facing that creative tension and all that kind of stuff, you know. So
I've made some moves that were really out of the ballpark, and that's what did it. Every move that have ever taken me anywhere has been spontaneous. The thing that got me out of this was to be quick about it. Can I be quick? I was 18 and I was scheduled to go to an art university. They decided that I had a great talent for art, and this was close to my graduation day. And right around, I'm walking down up Broadway in New York, and I pass a recruiting office for the military, and I walk in. Something stopped me, and I turned and walked in there. I never thought about the military, never interested me, and I walked in there and asked the guy, and he said hello. I said hello. I said, what do you got for me today? It just came out of my mouth. And he says, oh, good thing you came in, because I got something really great for you today. if you sign up now, I can send you to any school you want to go to and any place you want to go to in the world. I says, okay, I want to go to, I think I thought of Africa first, and then I said Japan. He says, I can't give you Africa right now, but I can give you Japan. I said, great. And I told him I wanted to be an aerial photographer. And he says, well, we just stopped that, but we opened an electronic section because all the cameras are now operated by a new thing called a computer. I says, I'll take it.
You think
And
look where we are now.
And that started me, and everything that's happened, even coming into the tradition, has always been moments like this, where it was a life or death moment in my life, and I hadn't realized that that decision that I made in that moment set me on a path that no other, like I would not have found in America.
Indeed.
How can we keep in touch with you?
Yeah, please let us know how we can keep in touch.
My number never changes.
No, just for the public. You got email or what social
My
media?
email is my name at gmail.com. My email is my name, Ernest Dunkley, ERNEST, Ernest. Last name, Dunkley, DUNK, Dunkley, LEY.com, gmail.com, or you can call me at my phone number, 404-552-9744. And I'm 24/7.
Excellent. Write that in the chat. I keep meaning to ask you. I can't let the opportunity pass. The name Dunkley, that rings a certain strong bell in terms of reggae music, but coming from Jamaica. You got Jamaican roots?
Well, my grandfather is the national painter of Jamaica, John Dunkley.
You definitely got Jamaican roots.
So yeah.
So Errol Dunkley.
Errol Dunkley,
right, one of the great.
Yeah, right.
We are all related. We all come from this family of British men three British brothers, Dunkleys, that were traveling to the New World 150 years ago, and they were on their way to Canada, in fact, and they passed through Jamaica, and one of them loved Jamaica and stayed there.
Mm.
And so all the Dunkleys are really related. All the Dunkleys. I've met us in Costa Rica. I've met even a lady from New Zealand, a white lady from New Zealand who's named Dunkley, and she was in the UN. And we're related. We're related. Sometimes they call us thinking we're the white side of the family.
Something was so good. Thank you so much, Baba Ernest.
Okay.
Looking forward to sitting at your feet again sometime soon.
Yes,
thank
you.
You're also when can we hear you on the air? I know sometimes you're with Heather Gray on Just Peace. Is that still going on?
Yeah, I'm still there at Just Peace. That's Monday evenings at 6:00.
Monday evenings at 6:00.
Is that every Monday? You're on every Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're every Monday at 6.
Monday evening at 6:00. You get to hear some of the wisdom of the OGs. Thank you for sharing so gracefully and effortlessly with us, Baba. And
thank you for being here, Baba. Thank you for being here and pulling us together, because that's what we need to do. Each one of us can pull together people that we can pull together, and we can do what Baba Shola says. We need to be beating the drum and singing our praises.
True indeed.
And we will conquer the world.
True indeed.
So call me, because I'm in on that. Look, I sing, I play tambourine, tambor, get bass, and harmonica, and I'm working on having a rhythm, getting some of the voodoo rhythms to put up under some hip hop.
All right, say less. We're gonna talk. Because I love your voice. I can imagine you singing.
That's right.
Oh, I got a CD I got to give to you so you can listen to it. That I did. You'll get a kick out of it. Oh yeah. I got a CD for you. Oh yeah.
I'm coming to see you. We're gonna do that. Stan Zev, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take the time out of your schedule to be with us.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to linking up with you again, and just
Definitely.
we gotta bring you on just to feature some of your music.
Yeah.
Let's hear some of that.
Mm.
Yeah, that thing that was cracking.
Right.
I know Baba Shola gonna want me to forward that to him as soon as we get off. Baba Ernest too. So we're gonna do that with your permission.
Oh, definitely. Share it to whoever.
Yeah, man.
It's
Much
about
love.
sharing the new music.
Much love to you all. Family, thank y'all for tuning in. Do subscribe to our podcast on the Farm Radio, on SoundCloud, as well as our YouTube channel, On the Farm LLC, ONDAFARM LLC. This link will live in your timeline and all the places where you linked up with us. Of course, we're off the live radio stream right now, but for those of y'all who stuck around online, thank y'all for tuning in with us. Stay tuned to yourself.